Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me scream for the love of God.
Another week, another episode of Good Movie Monday. Hello, everybody. Let's just crack on. Let's get straight into it. No time for all the pleasantries. This is the weekly podcast dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings, but you already know that, so strap in. It is our monthly dose of Melzy. Getting our Melzy fix.
Woo! I'm just, if you're watching the video or if this part of the video comes out, my cup actually says nice on it. So just on the note of pleasantries.
Nice. As you can see, Melzy Beck is coming to us live from her sewing room.
And I was going to say, she's between two firms, so hopefully we get some grossly inappropriate and offensive questions.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm looking forward to that. As I said, she's from the Melbourne Horror Film Society. They do screen horror movies around Melbourne every single month. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Ben is there. He needs no introduction, so we'll just move right along. No. How's it going, mate?
It's going well.
I'm not even going to ask how your week has been because I've learnt my lesson for the last few weeks. It's not worth asking.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can't talk about my toilet troubles, there's really nothing to say.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Moving along. So our website is goodmoviemonday.com. From there, you can take yourself to all of our social medias, and once you're there, give us a like, a follow, a comment, all that kind of stuff. We do love it. Here's the kicker, though. Like, if in the next, 12 hours, if we can get 20 new subscribers, then I will release the much talked about and highly speculated video of Ben and the gerbil.
Naked?
Yeah. I mean, it's the...
Well, you'll have to subscribe to see, Melvin.
Well, it's the remake of Stick It that we all needed. But you're safe, Melzy. I've deleted your video. Anyway, that joke tanked. If you want to see mine, go to donkeypunch.com. So, on this week's show, what do we got?
Are you getting donkey punched, or are you doing the donkey punch?
Well, let's go and find out.
Yeah.
This week we have an interview with the Spanish director Alberto Corredor, who is the guy behind the horror movie Baghead, which has just been released on Home Entertainment. Jarrett is away this week, but in a few moments' time we are going to go through this week's physical media releases anyway. I'll do my best to do what he does. Nowhere near as good, no doubt. But yeah, if you're wondering what's new and worth purchasing on physical media this week, stick around for that. We've got the three troublemakers from Bonehead Weekly from Kentucky. We've got Joe Lewis, Chad Jennings, and James Thomas, and they'll be popping in a bit later for their Bonehead Weekly fun size. We also have some songs to play for you to add to that Spotify playlist. As you can tell, I've been very sick this week, so you're going to have to excuse my voice. I'm all over the place, craggy, clearing my throat, all that kind of shit. You might have to take over, Ben.
Oh, you're talking about me?
In fact,
that was a planned break. That was a part of a bit. Don't cut it out.
Please take it away. Melzy, let's throw it to you. I'm going to hand you the microphone for the next couple of minutes to spruik the Melbourne Horror Film Society. Tell everybody about it.
Alrighty, so we have a couple of great screenings coming up this month. This Saturday night, the 8th, we're at True North and we're showing Black Sabbath from 1963, I think.
Yeah.
Mario Bava film. And then on Tuesday, June 25th, we're at Long Play and showing Bedevil, Tracy Moffat film from 1993. So a couple of good screenings coming up.
Wicked. How have they been lately? They good turnouts?
Well, I've been a bit needing some time to myself with my son and my dog. So I haven't been to the last couple, but I have heard great things.
Excellent.
Yeah, apparently there were 7 Davids in the room on Tuesday night.
Wow.
7 Davids.
That's incredible.
How many people complained at the... How many people complained?
You're actually starting to piss me off with this, to be honest. Like, you're actually starting to get on my nerve about it.
About
People
what
don't
the
complain about the movies. They don't complain. It
They
was
don't.
one story that I told you.
I had no idea where she was going for a second then, and then it clicked.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
All right, what's the website?
Melbourne Horror Film Society.org. Socials, Melbourne Horror everywhere.
Awesome.
Discord, send us a message to get a link to the Discord. Yeah, good stuff. Good people, good stuff.
Excellent. A few days ago, actually last week, I asked people on Facebook to suggest some topics of discussion for us to close this opening block of the show. So what do you think about remakes? I've gone with that one. That's a subject that comes to us thanks to Chris Millington. But I guess there's too many remakes just to throw into a short discussion. So let's narrow it down to remake triple features that we would like people to consider watching this Saturday night. And Ben, you've spent the last, I guess, 10 minutes preparing it. So do you want to go first?
Well, look, I went a bit of a different route. Rather than the remakes, they're films I've seen the remakes of, but I've never seen the original.
Oh, interesting.
So I want to watch those. The first one was Wrath of Man, which came out a couple of years ago, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and which I didn't realize was a remake of a French film called Cash Truck.
Yes.
Which is available on Blu-ray from France. I believe it has English subtitles, so you can see it, but that one is one I'm definitely keen to see. Next was, do you remember this film called Monsieur Hire? Used to play on SBS all the time when I was like in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, no.
It's like once again, it's a French film about this creepy neighbor who is pretty kind of rude, doesn't really talk to anyone in the town, kind of has issues with everyone. And then like a murder happens, which he kind of witnesses, but because he doesn't really talk to anyone, he doesn't say anything, but the rest of the town think he's creepy. And so they basically think, well, he's a creep. It must be him.
Yeah, right.
And blame him for the murder. And then he basically has to try and, save himself. And that's actually based on like another film called Panic.
Okay.
Panic. With a
Panic.
Q-U-E. They're both based on a book.
Yeah.
But Criterion released Panic on Blu-ray, and I bought it years ago, and I've never got around to watching it, and I'm desperate to see it because I quite liked Monsieur Hire.
Cool.
And the third one I'm going to talk about is Brewster's Millions.
Oh, damn, you took
Which
one
is
of
a
mine, you
fantastic
bastard.
Well, Brewster's Millions is great because it literally is the seventh iteration of
Yes.
that franchise.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, Brewster's Millions is basically a movie about a guy who inherits a bunch of money, but in order to inherit the money in the will, he has to spend a bunch of money without telling anyone why he's doing it. And at the end of the period, he can't have told everyone why he can't have kept anything that he spent the money on. And it's to teach him the value of money and to stop him from blowing the rest of the inheritance, which is literally, billions.
Well,
So,
yeah.
the modern, and there's like a female version of it.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of them. So I think the first one was like in the 30s.
Well, yeah, there's been
So-
heaps of them. I think
Yeah.
even before that, but I may as well just jump in there as a segue and move on to mine because Brewster's Millions was going to be one of mine. And I was going for an 80s comedy kind of theme with mine. So the other one I had was The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long, which is a remake of Mr. Blanding's Builds a Dream House in 1948. And interesting, like 1948 and then Money Pit was 1986. So that time difference is almost the time difference from The Money Pit to now. So that freaks me out when I think about those things. And the other one was The Toy in 1986, another Richard Pryor one. Which is a remake of a French film of the same name from 1976. And I think that was a fantastic movie too, where I think Richard Pryor plays... he's hired to be the playmate or play date for a billionaire's son or child, and just has to do everything the kid says. And it's just a really funny concept comedy. I think, if I'm not mistaken, was Jackie Gleason in that? It's been so long since I've watched it, but... There you go. That's my trilogy: Money Pit, Brewster's Millions, and The Toy. What about you, Mousy?
My triple feature will start with House of Wax from 2005, I think it was. It's one of in the run of the Dark Castle horror remakes.
That was a great run.
Of the early aughts. It was pretty much like panned when it came out, basically just because of Paris Hilton being in it.
But she
and they actually use it. They use it so well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so funny. And so it's got Chad Michael Murray, Alicia Cuthbert, Jared Padalecki. You know, a bit of a who's who of the early 2000s, and it's really fun. Like the sort of the start of it's like your usual setup of kind of annoying teens, and then when it actually gets into the horror, it's really, really good. And then something that I watched today, which is going to take a complete left turn. I watched the Maniac remake today for the first time. Yeah, so a lot darker and, you know, sort of, I don't know, dirtier, I guess. So it's starring Elijah Wood. It has like a sort of a real, like, I loved the soundtrack. The soundtrack is awesome. Yeah, it's pretty full on.
And it's all shot point of
very
view.
violent.
It's all shot point of view.
Very point of view.
You don't see Elijah Wood until right at the end. You just
you see him all in
mirror
it's all in
reflections.
mirrors.
Or in
Yeah.
reflections. Yeah.
And that was interesting because he actually was the camera. He wore that camera for the whole shoot,
Yeah.
which is great. Excellent.
Yeah, no, that was I really enjoyed it. And then going to I've sort of gone different time periods, and then to an 80s sort of classic, the Blob remake from 1988.
Yeah,
which is
one of
fantastic.
those movies that I think is better now than it was then.
Yeah. So
up.
that one and House of Wax, both remaking films from the 50s, which I think works quite well.
100%. Excellent. All right. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to just do a little break, and I'm going to step into Jarrett's slippers and see if I can get through this fucking home entertainment shit. Ben, I should have got you to do this one.
I was thinking about it, and then I realized that I don't know where you guys actually find out that information. It used to be the JB Hi-Fi website, but
yeah, I
I
should
don't know
have.
if that
I should have
is
sent you all
reliable
this.
as it was.
Should have sent you all this.
Where
but,
do you get it from?
It's like an industry website that we pay a subscription for. I don't know if Jarrett gets it from the same one, but anyway, look, you know, for people that are only catching this segment on YouTube or Facebook in video form, Jarrett's not with us this week, so I'm going to just run through these. I'm not going to do it any justice because he's great at this. He has an ability to just swoop into distributor information and special features and all that, but I'm just going to go from supplier to supplier and talk about what's coming out, and we'll leave it at that, and everyone can actually do some homework this week and look it up for themselves. So let's start with our friends at Eagle. They've got Alice in Terrorland coming out, a fantastic movie called Delia's Gone with Marissa Tomei and Stephen James, Paul Walter Hauser, and Travis Fimmel. That's a really cool thriller. And we've actually got the director of that coming up on the show in a couple of weeks' time. They've got a sci-fi horror film called Jonah and a fun all-female heist film called Righteous Thieves as well.
Are they on 4K?
Yeah, you know the answer to that, you tricky bastard. So that's Eagle, so they're all going to be on DVD, the filthy format, as Jarrett would say. So
they usually wouldn't make the cut.
No,
on this,
that's right. But I'm the captain now. Madman have a whole heap coming out. They've got The Great Escaper, which is one I'm really looking forward to. That's on Blu-ray and DVD. It's actually notable for being Glenda Jackson's final film before she passed away and Michael Caine's final role before he retired. So I'm keen to see it for that. They've got a film called Big Dog coming out. An interesting documentary called Brand Bollywood Down Under, which is on DVD, and that is a documentary all about Bollywood's move on Australia. Remember when, I think in the 2000s, they sort of did a push on Australia and a lot of Aussie stars went to Bollywood? So that's what that's all about.
Tanya Zayeda became a big Bollywood star.
Brett Lee?
Definitely. Yeah, really, that's
Brett Lee.
right. Yeah.
So random.
The Who Dares Wins the crowd.
What was it? Was it Robin Williams that said, like, if you want to dance like Bollywood, you just got to pretend you're screwing in light bulbs?
Yeah. Accurate.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
They've got a movie coming out on Blu-ray and DVD called Emily the Criminal with Audrey Plaza, and possibly
That's a great movie.
Is it? You seen it? It's a couple of years old, but I think it's the first
I talked
time.
about it on the show. Yeah, it played at. I think it played at MIF.
Yeah,
last.
It's the first time it's having
really,
a physical release here.
Yeah, it's a real departure for Aubrey Plaza because it's like a dark kind of drama.
Yeah, wicked.
Not a laugh in there.
Possibly my favorite title of any movie for this year, or possibly of all time, is a movie coming out called Humanist Vampire Seeking a Consenting Suicidal Person, which I just think is a fucking excellent.
It's great. We played that at Monster Fest last year. It's fantastic.
I missed it. Was it really good? Was it?
It was great. Yeah, really good.
Only getting a DVD release, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is a bit of a shame. But there's a Paul Schrader film coming out I'm keen on called Master Gardener from a few years ago that's finally making its way to Blu-ray and DVD, and that's got Joel Edgerton and Sigourney Weaver in it. And it's one of those sort of movies a bit like The Accountant, where he plays like a gardener for a rich woman that has special skills or a secret past. I like that kind of shit, so I'm definitely down for that.
And there's that other one too with what's her name from The West Wing and Alison Janney.
Oh yeah, where she's living in the mountains or something.
Yeah, and she's just like the cranky old landlord.
Yeah,
who turns out to be like ex special forces.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that. It's her name. It's like Luca or something like that, and it's a streamer film, I think. And then the other Madman one is a Shudder original Puppet Man on DVD only. I haven't seen that. I do like the poster for it, I guess, the cover art for it, but I don't know much about it. And I'll just quickly run through the imprint titles that are coming through Madman. Black Moon, Catacombs, Queen of Spades, The Uninvited and the Unseen in a double pack, The Woman Who Came Back, and The Man Who Haunted Himself. So that's a real throwback to those classic sort of black and white kind of thrillers. Although The Man Who Haunted Himself is a good one with Roger Moore. I have seen that one, where he does literally play a man who haunts himself, like the ghost of himself comes back. It's weird, but yeah.
Not a lie.
What was that?
Black Moon,
but it's not a lie.
Black Moon, isn't that the John Carpenter one? What am I thinking of?
Dark Star?
No, the one with Tommy Lee Jones and
Black Snake Moan.
No. It's like I think it was almost made for TV, but it's Tommy Lee Jones and the girl from Terminator.
Linda Hamilton?
Hamilton.
No, I don't know that one, but this one is like 1930s, I think. You look for that, and I'll just quickly go through the AID titles. All interactive distribution have Imaginary coming out only on DVD, which I find absurd. Like that's one of my favorite horror movies of the last 12 months. It's a really cool sort of PG horror movie, which I have a soft spot for. Feels very much like Beetlejuice crossed with Nightmare on Elm Street.
I hated the start, but then I ended up liking it.
Yeah, but don't you reckon like that the second half when it goes into that Nightmare on Elm Street kind of world, very cool, very trippy, but only on DVD. That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Love Lies Bleeding. Yeah. Go on.
Sorry, I think it's Black Moon Rising was the one I was thinking of.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that one. Okay, yeah. No, different one entirely.
Yeah.
Love Lies Bleeding with Kirsten Stewart.
I want to see that.
Anna Bratnikoff and Dave Franco. That's on Blu-ray and DVD. And then AID are releasing a bunch of 4Ks. They've got Event Horizon, Footloose, Primal Fear, and Primer, I should say. I don't know why you need Primer on 4K. Do you remember that one, Ben?
Primer's is that Umbrella releasing Primer?
Maybe that was. Maybe I've crossed that into the wrong field. I thought that was AID, but the other Umbrella ones are Trash Humpers, the Harmony Korine film, Upstream Color, and You'll Never Find Me. So there we go.
Because isn't Primer and Upstream Color, aren't they by the same guys? Or
I don't know. I remember Primer. I like Primer a lot, but it's a very low-fi, low-res kind of movie. It's like two guys in a garage, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember it kind of came out around the same time as Pi, and where the ultra low budget first films are really popular.
Yeah, and that other one, Ghost from the Machine, or it was also called Phasma Ex Machina. Same kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. I've not done the segment any justice, but I've gone through what's coming out. So I guess
that's what counts.
If anything sounded good, go and look it up and buy it. So until next time. Stay physical.
Stay physical.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
All right, guys. You know what time it is.
Woo!
It's the time. I mean, even though the intro has probably already said it, but just in case you forget one week, Glenn, it is time for Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday. And
You
that's
said it again,
damn
mate.
right, Elsie. Damn right. Get those fingers out.
That's what she
I'm
said.
curious. I was gonna say that's
I mean, no,
funny
she didn't.
because that ties in with our interview this week. Because Baghead is also what the ladies used to call me back in.
Get those fingers out.
Get those fingers out, Baghead.
Remove the nub.
I've got a bag over her head. I can't even see what I'm doing. So I'm curious, Melzy, what have you been watching on the TV?
Oh, well, so last time I was in, I think I was talking about watching Evil. So I am still watching Evil because the 4th season has just started.
I just dropped. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, but I just realized yesterday because I went to watch the 2nd episode and I'm like, oh shit, it must be weekly. So it must be an episode a week. So I'm subscribed to Paramount Plus for a bit longer. That's okay. That's okay.
3-month subscription.
Yeah, they've got a year.
One a
I should have signed up for the year at this point.
I just-
so I with Evil, so season 2, which I was in when I was last talking about it, I didn't like season 2 as much, but season 3 I absolutely loved. And yeah, season 4's gotten off to a good start, the first episode. So yeah, but I'm just like, oh shit, yep, got to have some patience here and do the once a week thing.
Is the guy still a priest or is he banging away? Is there premarital sex going on in this?
Well,
season?
he is a priest. There wasn't banging, but there was some little bit of
Fingering.
action. Yeah. Yeah. And then he said, what was it? Get your fingers out. Oh yeah, get your fingers out. I'm like, that
He was
couldn't have
the
been a
one
sentence,
being
could it?
fingered.
And I'm like, oh yeah, no, it actually was. And then he also has a fantasy. So there's a fantasy version of So there is
A wet
banging, but
dream.
not real banging. But yeah, so no, that's really good. And what else? I started The Fall of the House of Usher yesterday. When I was looking for that next episode of Evil, I went, okay, what else was I going to watch? So I watched the first episode of that. I think I've done an episode and a half of that, which looks
Is that any good?
Looks interesting.
Is this
Look,
Mike
it's not-
Flanagan? Is it
But Mike Flanagan, so look at the moment, I wouldn't say it's a midnight mass. I loved Midnight Mass. Like, oh my god,
I used to read
it's
the
just
comics
like,
of Midnight Mass.
Yep.
oh really? Yeah,
He
I
reads.
just
Yeah.
I just loved that so much. But yeah, but it seems interesting. It's actually got a very oh my god, what is it? The Ready or Not. It's sort of got a very Ready or Not feel in the way that it's like this very rich family and that they're all kind of kooky and bizarre and they're trying to figure out who is a mole in this situation, but then there's also some
like a
supernatural
mole
stuff
as
going
in
on.
like a mole as in like or the Australian version of a mole.
Mole.
Rack off your mole.
Yeah, Kylie Mole.
They
No, somebody's an informant. And so they're trying to figure out, and they're all a bit crazy. And they all went, they're all, and then all the kids get killed, but that's all in the, like, you know, the stuff. But there's other shit going on, like there's like supernatural stuff going on as well. So yeah, so no, it looks interesting. What else? And funnily enough, something that happened in that first episode was there were kind of mentions of the other Netflix show that I'm watching at the moment. Is It Cake? Like they have this person come into the family and they're like, oh my God, it's cake. Like she keeps bringing out this stuff and it's like, oh, that's cake. And it's like a book and it's cake. And I'm like, Ruben got home and I'm like, guess what? I watched a show today that was talking about Is It Cake? Because that's what we watch.
Is It Cake?
Is It Cake?
Is It Cake is like taking over my life. like that. You just,
Does it make you angry when it's not cake?
but it's
best.
everything is cake. Like like they get real kind of involved in it now.
Yeah.
Like as the series has progressed.
Yeah,
like,
season 3
everything
is
is cake.
so much because we've watched season 3, then season 1, and we're now on season 2. But season 3 is like it's a real step up, I reckon, from the others.
Like there are people walking and talking, and they're fucking cake.
I
No,
never in a
it's
million
really
years
good.
would have
It's
thought
so
we'd be talking
good.
about this on the show.
And also, and another, and then back to my Paramount Plus subscription. So we watched the series Knuckles, which is like a limited
Sonic,
series from
yeah.
Sonic,
Yeah.
and like it was fine. Like it wasn't amazing, but there are a couple of really good episodes. But
Was there any banging in that one?
no
Did,
banging,
no
no
bang-
banging.
no-
No, but they
Sonic.
went Knuckles, mate.
They were Knuckles.
Yeah, only knuckle deep.
Knuckle deep. First
And then
knuckle or
my
second?
usual Bravo content which I feel like I can talk about because Jarrett talked about it, and Vanderpump Rules, Summer House Vineyard, Martha's Vineyard, and the Valley at the moment.
Yeah,
So
Wow,
Yeah,
like,
right.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, Melody, that's a lot of
yeah,
television.
this is why I don't watch any movies.
Yeah, Jared has actually been multiple times, I believe, to the Vanderpump Rules restaurant.
Yeah. Well, I need
I
to talk to him because I totally could have shagged Jax and gotten a million diseases when I was over there one time. I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl cinema screening.
And you could have jumped his bones. Was it?
Oh,
did he offer and you turned him down?
There was
he-
just like
Like a glance.
Yes. I did
Wow.
look very nice that night. But yes, I probably wouldn't even be alive now because of how many diseases I got because he's
He's how COVID started.
he's how many things started, I reckon. But it was also like, wow, that is a beautiful man.
So that's why they invented Glad Wrap. You just cover everything and saran wrap for our American listeners. It's amazing that we call it Glad Wrap because Glad is just
Yeah.
the name of the company.
Yeah, I know.
One company.
I know it is weird. That is
It's
weird.
like if we called peanut butter Kraft butter,
Yeah.
but and then it changed to Bega butter.
Yeah, and Glad Wrap is something else. It's something else in other states as well. I've had this conversation.
Oh, is it
I
really?
had this conversation with flight attendants. Yeah, talking about like things that are different in like
cling
South
wrap.
Australia, and is it cling wrap? Yeah, like that. Yeah, because Glad
Yeah,
they
right.
actually call it something that makes sense rather than Glad Wrap. Yeah,
It annoys me that there are some plastics that it does not cling to.
yeah,
Don't
Yeah.
you hate
yeah.
that?
I
Don't
know.
you hate that? You're trying to cover something
Yeah.
and this fucking slides.
So you got to go to a really big piece and go the whole way
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, to let it join with itself.
yes,
That's
exactly.
right. It's got a hug.
There we go. We're really practical. The practical advice.
And then it says,
Hard
"Get your
part
fingers out."
without it coming apart.
Yeah.
All right, Glenn. What have you been watching?
Well,
this
you know,
week?
I actually this week found on YouTube the uncut full-length version of Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos. So I did watch that with Doug Mulray hosting back in the day. Do
Amazing.
you remember when that was on air and Kerry Packer got so offended by it, he called the station and said, pull it off the air?
Pull it
So
off
we
the air,
never got
yeah,
to see
that's
the
right.
end of it. And then 16 years later, I think it was Channel 9, and Bert Newton hosted it, where they said, well, now you get to finally see it. So I
Is
sat
that
down.
because Kerry had died?
Yeah, probably. And I sat down with my wife and watched it, and it's like it is filthy. Like it is,
Is it?
but it's grotty. Like it's not necessarily hilarious. It's like lots of
Yeah.
animals fucking, monkeys jerking each other off, all that kind of stuff. That now it's just like usual on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I'm thinking, put yourself back
what
in.
the hell is on your TikTok feed, mate? I have not seen one
every minute you
jerking off
open
another
TikTok,
monkey
you just
on
see
TikTok.
animals
Like
fucking
they-
and
Yeah, they cut out the violence on episodes of The Rookie that I see on TikTok, and you're seeing animals jerk each other
Dude,
off.
there is a lot of shit on TikTok, I can tell you. But So I watched that with my wife, and I was not as amused as I thought I would be because I set it up with her as if like, did you miss that when it was on? We must watch it. Like it's just all the naughty stuff, and it was just gross. So that was not very good. But then I've also gone back to the start and started kind of binging Get Smart from season 1. And like I think I inspired myself to do that when we were talking about Mel Brooks the other week on the show, Ben. So that's just been a heap of fun.
Black and white, isn't it?
No, the first episode, the pilot episode's black and white, and the rest are all color.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I just I didn't forget, but like it just reminded me how sharp that show was. Like the comedy in it is as good now as it was then. And
How many seasons was it again?
I think 5 seasons, and then you had 2 spin-off movies.
Yeah.
And which were done like 15, 20 years later. And then you had a sequel TV show with Andy Dick playing the son of Max and 99.
Oh, yeah.
And
Isn't
they were
one of the
too.
movies.
Sorry?
Isn't one of the movies also their kids as well?
No. Oh, no. So what you've got then is the remake movie with Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway. And that had a sidequel movie, which was Harold and Lloyd. Or
Harold and Lloyd,
Bruce and Lloyd,
No,
whatever.
I'm sure that... Because the movies are like The Nude Bomb and
Get Smart Again.
Get Smart Again. I thought Get Smart Again had their kids in it.
Look, it may do. I know that's the latter one that they were like in their 60s by the time that got made. And that is what inspired the Andy Dick show to come along. But just the original series is so great. And I just love everything about it. And what I didn't even realize until I was sort of looking it up as I'm watching, because I like to sort of, Wikipedia things as I'm watching them. We never know what 99's name is in that show. They never reveal it, ever. And I love that. I read that Fang, the dog, was fired from the show after season 3 because he was too difficult to work with.
They just replaced the dog. But isn't that the whole... Because 99 is actually like the clever spy.
Yes.
And the chief, I don't know if you ever know the chief's name or anything like that. It's only Maxwell Smart because it's like a James Bond thing about how stupid is it that he keeps saying his name.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get to be an international spy
100%.
when everyone knows your name? And
100%. What I didn't know also, which I was reading, is when the show first started, the network wanted it to have a lot more family values. So originally it was supposed to have like Max's extended family in it, and it was much more sitcom-y, and it was Mel Brooks that just went like, no, you're hiring Mel Brooks. Like, you want Mel Brooks? That's not Mel Brooks, putting that shit in there. But yeah, Get Smart. I'm so glad I'm doing it. I'm going to keep going until I finish it. And yeah. There we go. That's my TV Tuesday, mate. What about yours?
fantastic. Well, look, apart from I'm still going through the bill. Like there's 26 seasons of that show.
Yeah, we've got every single subsequent season of Good Movie Monday is going to be the bill.
I'll never get through that. I'm on to season 7 at the moment. It's a great season. But in terms of classic, like all I watched apart from the bill, and I guess the bill is included in this, is classic TV. But friend of the show, and I use that term loosely because I don't think he's ever listened to it. Joel Branner sent me a link to on YouTube. They've got full episodes of Keynotes. Do you remember the music game show hosted by Richard Wilkins?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a fun show.
Yeah.
Like it's actually if they did it now, I wouldn't know who the hell they're talking about with any of the musical acts.
It's like
yeah.
Throwing it back to TikTok for a second, there's like a TV show in America where you got to guess the song in a certain amount of notes. Is that the kind of premise?
It was more like it was a quiz show. So there were those kind of rounds, but then there were other things as well. But when he sent me that made me. Do you remember Richard Stubbs used to have a TV show called The Great TV? It was The Great TV Quiz Show.
I think so, because he also used to host the Friday nights of in Melbourne Tonight. Well, no, Steve Izard show.
Great TV game show. Yeah, the Steve Izard show. Yeah, and he was on the radio and stuff. He used to come into alternate worlds.
Yeah.
And because his brother Grubby was the
3AW guy.
king of drive time on 3KZ /
with Dee
Fox FM. With Dee, that's right.
Yeah.
And the TV guy, like his sidekick, whose name I can't remember, but she dressed up as Morticia Adams on the show. And they had the episode I watched. They had like they've got 2 teams, and each team like they pick their favorite. It's supposed to be show, and the episode I watched was like the semi-finals. And so one team, they're all dressed up like they're in from Hogan's Heroes, except one of them's wearing like a Nazi uniform, which would not wash by today's standards. But the other team, they're there as Indiana Jones, and I'm like, that's not a fucking TV show. And they've got there's a woman who's dressed up as Karen Allen, fine.
Mm.
Then there's two fucking guys, and both of them are indie, but one lost the coin toss, and he has to be academic indie, while the other one is adventure. I was like, this is you couldn't even what you couldn't dress up as Marcus Brody or Sulla or Tot, or like it was outrageous.
Yeah,
I don't know how they
offended for you, mate.
I don't know how they got to the semi-finals with that kind of shit. But
they did have a Nazi, so they were definitely on theme.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the real show that I went back. I was doing the dishes the other night, and I like to put on disposable television while I'm doing the dishes.
Me too.
I jumped in to a little show called Murder, She Wrote. But yeah. But instead of watching, because like Murder, She Wrote goes for like 9-10 seasons, something outrageous like that. It was hard on poor Angela Lansbury. Like there's 24 episodes per season. They're 45-minute episodes. So she was churning them out like you wouldn't believe. But so to give her a break, every second or third episode, she would just kind of narrate, and they'd be like friends of Angela and solve crimes.
Yeah.
Especially in the later seasons towards 6 and 7. And so I started watching these. I watched 3 episodes in season 6.
I love this show, by the way.
It's so fucking good. The first episode I watched was episode 5 of season 6, called Jack and Bill, and this episode starred Max Baer Jr., aka what's he, Buddy from the Beverly Hillbillies? Jethro, Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies. And I will say, and he's clearly got a bad dye job. Like even his mustache is dyed, and stuff like that. And Jethro, that reminded me that Jethro features quite heavily in the Christy Canyon autobiography, because he used to go out with her, but his thing was watching her have sex with other men. And he went out to dead with Christy Canyon's dad, and he's like, why don't you quit porn and just settle down with him? He's like a great guy. He's his father's a famous boxer, the guy from Cinderella Man. Just to give more trivia, that was Max Baer's Jr.'s father was the villain in Cinderella Man. And then she's like, Dad, even if I wanted to do that, I couldn't, because the only reason he's with me is because he likes me banging other men. And that shut her father up real quick.
Oh God!
Just a digression there.
Yeah,
I love getting those factoids out. But this episode, literally, Susan Anton turns up. The Ken Howard, who I've never seen with a full head of hair. He's an ex-football player who's now a really shitty private detective. The whole thing of the episode is that Max Baer turns up and says, "Hey, buddy, I know your detective agency is in the toilet. Can you do me a favor and look after my dog, which is a poodle?" And Max Baer, the detective guy, Bill Boyle, doesn't want anything to do with it because he thinks poodles are like these, effeminate dogs, and he's too much of a man's man to have one. And then while he's looking after the dog, Max Baer Jr. gets killed, and all these people, they start, ransacking his house, turning over his office, the whole thing, and the dog saves him every single time. And then it turns out to be this like international assassination of like El Presidente from a banana republic, and the dog is kind of the one that figures it all out. It's this amazing episode. And John Travolta's sister, turns up as his secretary, and Glenn Turman from is it 21 Jump Street? Is he big with the guy from 21 Jump Street? He's in Gremlins and stuff. I think he's the captain in 21 Jump Street.
Right.
And he's in X-Files and stuff as well.
Yes,
he's like the chief of police and stuff. It's fucking great. Great episode. Then what was the other one? The other one I watched was an episode where a police detective gets thrown off a case and has to go teach college. and then he and his students solve the crime of the case he was kicked off of, which is fantastic. And then the next one, this is all in the same season, none of which Jessica Fletcher's in. Then this woman, she's the producer of a crime TV show called Beat Cop. And the title character in the TV show is played by Tim Thomerson, who is great.
Amazing.
Because he's playing a really, like a super neurotic actor who's a real pain in the ass. And the head of the studio gets killed. And the producer has to solve the crime or they'll cancel Beat Cop. It's such a thinly kind of veiled excuse for a TV show. But fuck me, like it just...
And they went and did all those TV movies with Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, which I'm slowly working my way through as well. You'd be lucky if they don't turn up as a recommendation at some point.
Every time I see that big fat Murder, She Wrote DVD box set, I am tempted. I am really tempted. I'll tell you what.
Does it have the series and the movies?
Yeah, and there's also the Columbo box set. I want that because both shows I could just dive, face first into. I love that
other one, like Rockford Files and Magnum. Rockford Files especially, they also did spin-off movies.
Yeah.
But Jimmy's so like even in the show, he had done his back. So every time that there's a running something like that, he looks awful. You're like, this guy cannot catch anyone. Like he can't move, and they keep forcing him to do it.
Yeah.
So in the end, it becomes like a drinking game. Every time James Gunn has to run and catch a criminal.
Yeah.
Because it is, and it's like they're punishing him for something. But by the time it gets around to the movies at the end, he is literally so old that you're like, this guy needs someone to feed him soup. He can't be solving crimes.
Yeah.
By gum, he sure does. He still does.
Can't kick the habit. I guess you know. Want conversation? Well, here I go. I can't stand it. Facing this alone. Don't change the subject if it's not clear. Don't say you're sorry and disappear, 'cause that means nothing. Nothing if you're not here. Can't turn it off, no. Turn it off, no. No. Turn it off, no. I can sing, but I can't sigh. I can barely breathe the air I need to justify why I sing so low to get so high. let me in? If I let you in, will you let me in? Will you let me in? If I let you in, will you let me in? If I let you in, will you let me in? Will you let me in? Can't get the habit. I can't get the habit. I can't get the habit. I can't get the habit. Can't get the habit. I can't get the habit. I can't get the habit. I can't get the habit.
So there's another one that we've just added to the Spotify playlist. That's Can't Kick the Habit by Spin Doctors. I know how much Ben loves the Spin Doctors.
Look, to be honest with you, if it's not two princes, I haven't heard it.
Yeah. It was only a matter of time before they found their way on the show. And that's from the movie Grandma's Boy, which is a bit of a banger. If you go to Spotify, you can look up Good Movie Monday, the music, and there's a massive playlist there that goes for fucking 16, 17 hours and it's everything we've played on the show. So let's throw to this interview that I had with Alberto Corredor. As I said at the start of the show, he's the writer and director of Baghead. It's a brand new horror movie that was, at the time of theatrical, massively overshadowed by Talk to Me, that amazing Aussie film because they both have a very similar premise. They have a different look and aesthetic, but the actual premise behind them is quite the same. But anyway, this movie also has some British acting royalty in it because you've got Peter Mullen in there and Ned Deity, and they are just two actors that you see pop up in stuff like Trainspotting and any kind of gangster film from the UK. And what I didn't realize at the time I was talking to Alberto was that the lead actress in Baghead is Freya Allen, who is the lead human in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I wish I'd known that at the time that I was talking to him. But she was also in Gunpowder Milkshake and one of the lead actresses in The Witcher. So she's kind of the flavour of the moment, I guess.
I feel like that Gunpowder Milkshake is like a forgotten film.
Yeah, you and I went and saw that and had such a good time.
Yeah, like it was a big movie, but I feel like it's one of those ones that once it made it onto the weekly shelves at the video store, it just no one thinks about it anymore.
Yeah,
yeah.
And we just don't live in a world anymore. We don't live in a movie world anymore where you discover stuff later on.
No,
like, that doesn't kind of happen anymore. If
exactly.
it disappears, it's kind of gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, we've just raised it, so maybe if,
Yeah,
if
so,
you're listening
yep.
to this and you've never seen it, go and check it out. Anyway, here is my chat with Alberto. Enjoy this, and then straight up after that, we've got the Boneheads. It's great to meet you, Alberto. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well. Enjoying Mexico. How are you doing?
I bet I'm great. It's good to be chatting with you. You've made a really atmospheric and well-contained horror movie, so congratulations on Baghead.
Thank you.
And this is your first feature-length film, and I'm wondering, as a first-time director, how did you manage to get an incredible caliber of talent like Peter Mullen and Ned Dennehy into your film?
Well, it's sometimes it's a matter of being at the right place at the right time, and I think it's one of these cases. Obviously, it helps a lot when you have someone like the picture company, Andrew Rona and Alex Heineman, or you have Studio Canal behind you throwing their weight into it, because they have created already this relationship with the different actors. But mainly it's like, to give you an example, with Peter Mullan, when we were looking for our Owen, to cast Owen, and we were looking at the different options. One day, out of the blue, one of the producers came and told me, "What do you think about Peter Mullan?" And I was like, "Who did you just say? Peter Mullan? Peter Mullan?" And they said, yeah, he's available and willing. I say, okay, what do I need to do? I want to jump on a Zoom call right now and talk to him. I think it helped to have a strong short that people could watch at the same time as they were reading the script. Because when you have already a reference that what you are going to aim for, and you can see it, and you can see already that someone can do something with that story, and that the script is not bad, then it facilitates things quite a bit.
Yeah, you were really lucky to get them on board because they both add so much extra weight to the story, which was great. And Freya Allen is fantastic. What a great get. She was awesome in, I think, The Witcher. She's in the upcoming Planet of the Apes, so she's really going somewhere. So what drew you to her? She's a fantastic actress.
Well, the reality is, when we were writing the story for Baghead, the Iris was a bit older than Freya is. But again, through this relationship with the Studio Canal, because she had shot already a movie with them, with the picture company called Gunpowder Milkshake. So she was eager to work again with the studio. So when the studio told us she would be available, and I was a fan of The Witch, and I have seen her and so on, I thought, yeah, definitely, she's got a lot of talent. She's going places. So we jumped on a chat on Zoom. We were discussing the story and so on, and then we decided, yeah, why not? We started changing the story a little bit, not much, but a little bit, to adapt it and to make it more for kind of who Freya is to this forced young woman trying to find a foothold in life. So it was, again, through the relationship that you have created in the studio with these kind of actors.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned that it's adapted from a short film that you made in, I think, 2016. I'm wondering, though, where does the story come from? Because if it's a folklore, I've never heard of it. Is it an original concept? Where's it from?
No, it's an original concept from Lorcan Rayleigh. He's the writer of the short film. At the time, he was living in London, and I was trying to put together something to shoot a low-budget horror movie. But when I met Lorcan and I read the story, the short film for Baghead, I realized this is golden. And this is something that really has an iconic character and that talk about grief and for all that subverts all the expectations because you would think you go to talk to a dead loved one and you get closure, but in the short it wasn't like that. It completely flips the whole story on its head. So it started there. For me, it was reading the story and seeing, okay, I can apply my visuals to this witch to create a good concept for her and something that we can present as a proof of concept, as a business card to show later when we were trying through the festival run to find the partners that we end up finally finding.
Excellent. What I loved the most about the story itself was that short 2-minute period of grace that the characters get with their loved ones. I felt like that was a really effective way to turn the horror on and off and keep the suspense going. But was there any discussion in the development on how long that time should be? Were the producers nervous about being 2 minutes? Did they want to jump into the horror quicker?
I was so surprised. I was very surprised that everyone was really adamant to keep it because for us, that what made the shot really work that well. And for the feature, it was a very important component in the mythology because giving 2 minutes is that kind of sweet spot. You can still talk to someone. You can make, obviously, it's not always 2 minutes. We're talking about cinema. You go a little bit here and there, but it's the right amount of time that you have something sensible to say, but you cannot say everything that you want to say. So it creates kind of an addiction, a dependency. You have unfinished business all the time, so you feel like you have to go downstairs again and do it again, like we have in the case of Neil, because obviously the witch is at some point after this 2-minute mark, she starts playing her games and getting into your head. And that is one of the important components. So in a nutshell, everyone thought that the 2-minute rule, it was kind of core to our story.
Absolutely. And it did add to the effectiveness of, like I said, turning the horror on and off. Like it really catches you off guard at times. But as a horror fan myself, I can watch movies and tell when the filmmaker is also a horror fan, and clearly you love horror. Were there any movies or things that you leaned into as a fan as inspiration when coming up with this dark little universe you've created?
Yes, I always say that visually, I take a lot from Japanese horror movies. Is kind of my cup of tea in terms of visuals. In terms of horrors, I'm a fan. I couldn't just pinpoint one of them. Bring Me to Hell is kind of one that oddly I always see had a similar feeling in this extent because it happens in the house. It's really weird what is going on. It's only with one young woman going through this kind of trouble, and I think is one that you can see a little bit also in Baghead. But in general, I think is more its own thing, and it has things from other movies. From which one I don't know. I guess that you are the people who start dissecting them. I cannot really do that with my own movie because it's too painful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it is difficult to pinpoint any. That's why I asked whether, there were some things there that influenced you. But is horror a genre that you would like to stick with and be known for? Do you have any plans for a next film?
At the moment, it's always a good question because, I think I want to stick to horror for a little bit because I think I made my first feature and I can see as a filmmaker, when you finish it, you are watching it and you say, oh God, I made a mistake here and here. It could be so much better here on this part. So I think I owe it to myself to do a second one where it's horror and that when I can put into action everything that I think I have learned. In the future, I don't rule out anything. You probably won't see me directing rom-coms. It's not my cup of tea. But I want to stay into horror, science fiction, thriller. That's really what is my interest. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it. But thank you for the chat. Baghead might be a new film, but it feels very classic, and really enjoyed it. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. And this topic is going to be different, Chad?
Yeah. So my idea of this, honestly, we may do a full episode of this in the near future, but it's weird quirks that actors put in almost every one of their movies. So an example of this that I came up with was, for example, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Every movie Jean-Claude Van Damme's in, he has to do the leg splits, namely because that's one talent he can do, and he wants to show it off in every single movie he can do. For example, I do
the same thing at parties, dude.
Yeah, I just watched a movie that he did a couple of years ago called The Last Mercenary, which I highly recommend. And sure enough, here he is in his 60s or early 70s. I don't know how old Jean-Claude Van Damme is, but here he is. He's doing the leg splits.
It's cool. Mine is going to be, I was going to steal one from James, but I think I want to save it for the episode. Mine's going to be what?
Go on.
No, I thought I didn't know if you were going to go or not.
No. Go.
Okay. Mine is going to be Clint Eastwood's eye squint. You know, it didn't start till Fistful of Dollars.
But that's because he has an issue with the sun, though. He can't, he does that because he has an eye condition that prevents him, kind of like James. He has an issue with the sun. He has an issue
I
with
was
lights.
looking it up, and they go back and forth with whether that's true or not.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes. And a lot of people think it's not that. He started it, and he has to do it from this point on. James, Chad, one of you.
I wish that was my issue. I wish it was just me doing it unintentionally or intentionally for acting. I just can't handle the sun. Curse you, son. Anyway, I'm going to go with Christopher Walken's dance moves. Christopher Walken.
I was going to steal.
I mean, hell, you could have just done Christopher Walken's delivery of his lines.
But Christopher Walken's dancing pops up in almost every movie. He was a classically trained dancer, if you don't know that. And so he tries to make it a point to work in a little dance move, whether it be in Kings of New York, or King of New York, whether it be in his Bond role. No matter where it is, he tries to work in a little dance move, a little dance number, something like that. It's even in Joe Dirt. I mean, and I give him credit. He loves to do it. And by the way, if you've never seen the music video for Weapon of Choice, he still does it well. So yeah, no, Christopher Walken's dance moves in movies, I always look for him. I always enjoy him.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris and Peanuts.
He loves Snoopy. He does love Snoopy.
Yeah. The Red Baron was his favorite.
No, seriously, if you there are several now it's not every Chuck Norris film, but there are many, and I think he even did it in his TV show Walker, Texas Rangers, but he does it in a lot of his films. Chuck Norris will there will be a scene where he's talking to either a partner or an informant, and he'll be walking, getting a plot point, and he'll buy a bag of peanuts. And then he'll proceed to open up the bag of peanuts, pour the bag of peanuts into the whole bag of peanuts into his one hand, and then he'll roll up the peanut, one peanut at a time, into his thumb and index finger and pop it into his mouth. He does it in numerous films.
I wish I'd asked him about it now.
And being a huge Chuck Norris fan, I just noticed it and I've actually tried to Google it on a couple of occasions, and there may be some fan who's now pointed it out, but I don't ever see anybody pointing this out, and it's driven me crazy for years. It's Chuck Norris and peanuts. He loves to have scenes where he is just throwing back peanuts into his gullet.
You said droven, and I
did. I say?
You said it's driven me crazy for years.
It's driven me crazy.
You didn't say for years, but
that is the Kentucky. That is the Kentucky people.
No,
coming out, and now I'm gonna go grab my gun.
According to this, Chad, it doesn't answer any of your questions, but according to the list of things he can do, he gargles with peanut butter.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? This has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size, and hopefully we've driven you crazy.
He actually has driven me a little bit crazy this week, guys. What do you make of that? Comes up with this whole topic that is, exclusive to Good Movie Monday, and then Joe says he's going to reserve his for the fucking Bonehead Weekly podcast. That's bullshit.
Rude.
I actually really liked this segment.
Yeah.
Quirks.
I actually
quirks. You've written some down.
Well, no, well, it just really made me think of when I started reading up and watching all the extra features on The Apartment.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking The Apartment is great, but then Fred McMurray, who at the time when I first saw The Apartment, I only knew from My Three Sons. Really?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But he was really worried that everyone was going to hate him because he's such an asshole in The Apartment.
Yeah.
And he was playing against type because he's always been a leading man, like in the 60s, 50s, and 40s and 50s and 60s. He was always like a pretty good looking leading man, but then he kind of plays a bit of a heel in Double Indemnity.
Yeah,
so I don't know what he was.
Well, my favorite one of his was the Disney one he did with Kurt Russell. Follow Me Boys, all about the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, the Boy Scouts.
That's
well,
a
then was
great
Double
movie.
Indemnity after The Apartment? Because they're both Billy Wilder.
Indemnity was, I think, 40s, wasn't it?
Yeah, and when's The Apartment?
That's 50s, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't care enough to look it up. And
No.
Everyone's time, but I'm curious. I'm curious. So comment on social media. Which one was first?
We should have talked about My Three Sons in the Terrific TV Tuesday. But alas, we are...
I've got the box set of one of the seasons.
We're going to...
Because you know that they shot that whole show around Fred McMurray. Fred McMurray would turn up for like one day a month.
Yeah.
And then the rest was just the back of his head from some stand-in.
Such a good show, though. Such a good show. I preferred that to Leave It to Beaver.
100%.
Yes. Anyway, let's get on to some recommendations. I'm going to go first, if you don't mind, and then I'll go maybe Ben and then Malzy can bring us home. This is a funny one, because this is a movie from 1987 that I'd never heard of, or so I thought. And I started watching it, and I get about 15 to 20 minutes in, and I think, hang on, I definitely have seen this. And then I thought to myself, I may have even recommended this on the show once, but I completely forgot all about it. It's a movie called Running from the Guns. Have you heard of this one, Ben? It's
an Australian film, yeah.
I don't know if it's had any kind of other than VHS, if it's had a physical media release in Australia. But anyway, it's such a good time, and you're having a good time when a movie starts with that Hoyts Presents logo right at the start. That always sort of tickles me a little bit. And the tagline for this one was "Move Over Max," because it's definitely got that balls to the wall Mad Max style of action in it. Particularly the opening sequence is just like fucking no OH&S on that fucking production whatsoever. What they put these actors through is incredible and just amazing to watch. But it's essentially about two small-time criminals that get chased by much bigger criminals when they accidentally steal a massive truck full of lauded cash, and it sort of then becomes a comedy of errors as they're being chased. And the story is kind of irrelevant, but the movie itself is just weird because it crosses between genuine crime action to slapstick comedy. For example, you've got those incredible action sequences that I was talking about, and then the next minute you've got Terrence Donovan being stripped naked and bashed and beaten by a fucking dominatrix at a brothel. But it's not just any brothel, Ben. You'll appreciate this one. It's an aerobics brothel. So the way that the gentlemen have to pick their women for the evening is to watch them in an aerobics class and choose them like an old style aerobics. And it's hilarious. And then
that is awesome.
Terrence Donovan gets
fully
naked. He's fully naked.
I make
and
this movie?
He gets bent over backwards in every kind of he's really malleable and flexible in this. And you see his junk and everything, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I really thought you were going to go in a different direction. I thought there's all the action scene, and then he slips on a banana peel, and it has like some sound effects.
No,
that's not where I thought this was going.
But he's getting like completely beaten by this dominatrix to like aerobic style music, and it's a montage of him getting bent over and fucking whipped and tied up and gagged.
I've got the tape over there. It's my weekend sorted.
It's got not only does it have him in it, it's got Nikki Coghill, it's
Episode's
got
over.
John Blake,
I don't
Mark
need to-
Hembrow, Peter Whitford, Jared Kennedy, Bill Kerr, Gus Mercurio. It's a who's who of Aussie actors from the 80s, like all familiar from the time. Yeah, look, I had seen it, and what I find really fascinating, a lot of people that listen to the show know that I love Aussie films from the 70s and 80s. And one thing I love particularly is to see how the landscape and the geography of Melbourne has changed over the time. And in this one, most of it takes place in the Docklands. And from the Docklands, you get a clear vantage point of the Art Centre spire. And I'm like, That's not possible now at all. Like,
Yeah,
you cannot
wow.
see that shit. There's a lot of stuff in between.
No.
So it's a real nice little sort of snapshot of Melbourne in the 80s, and I highly recommend it. Running from the
Ooh.
Guns, 1987. Check it out. What do you got there, Ben?
Well, this movie, funny, we were talking about TikTok a lot in the show so far. And although how much of that will make it in, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, when were we talking about it?
We did spend quite a lot of time talking
On
about
or
jerking off animals.
yes, we did too.
But one film that has popped up multiple times in my TikTok feed has just dropped on Netflix, and that film is Margin Call. I don't know if you guys remember this film. It's all about a trading house like Goldman and Sachs, and through a series of at the beginning, the movie kind of opens on them laying off like entire departments in the shop, and then as Stanley Tucci is one of those guys who's being laid off, and as he leaves, he says, "Look, I've been working on this thing. You really should check this out." And they basically said, "Look, it's going to be handed off. Someone else will take care. It's not your problem anymore." And he keeps trying to tell them that something's going on, and they keep ignoring him. So on his way out, he passes a thumb drive to his one of his kind of proteges, and this played by Zachary Quintaro. Quintaro.
Spock.
And then he spends the night going through the data, and he realizes that the trading house is like overextended, and the product that they have on their books, the CDs, and if you've watched the Big Short, you'll know what CDs are. The debt that they have outstrips any potential profit they could make.
Yeah.
And basically, it's like kind of the collapse of the company. So they call in all the bigwigs, and this is like an all-star. It's an all-star cast. So, who's it? Zachary Quinto, Stanley Tucci, Paul Bettany, Kevin Spacey, Jeremy Irons, Penn Badgley from the
OC.
Yes, but what's that? What's the Scarlet Letter movie with Emma?
Oh, Easy A.
Easy A. Yeah. That's the one. He's in a mascot outfit for the whole movie, so it's easy to forget that he's in that one. But Simon Baker's in it. Demi Moore, Asif Mandvi.
I remember it being
Ashley
such a thrilling movie. I remember it being edge of your seat stuff.
Grace Gummer, the daughter of one of the daughters of Meryl Streep, pops up. But they call Jeremy Irons, who's like the big boss, and he basically says, "Okay, we're just going to sell everything, to whatever you can get." And they're like, "But we're going to be selling it to people knowing that it's shit, and they're going to go bankrupt." And he goes, "Well, it's them or us." Yeah. And so then the rest of the movie is them just fucking the financial market. It is amazing.
Does it have any aerobics in it?
Fortunately, the one missing element
aerobics
is that there is no, like, Paul Bettany does not strip down to his spandex and do a workout.
Such a missed opportunity.
But the great scene where they talk to him and they're like, he's talking about how he kind of he can't really afford to lose his job, and they're like, "But hang on, you earn like $250,000 a year," and he's like, "Yeah, but you spend what you earn." There's like, and there's a surprising amount of money that I earn goes to high class prostitutes. Like, he breaks it down. He was like, X amount for my mortgage, X amount for my suits, X amount for my car, X amount for my boat, and the rest prostitutes.
Yeah.
Great bit. But he probably, look, with that kind of money, I'm sure he goes to an aerobics themed brothel.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
So was I.
He should.
So that's available on, just dropped on Netflix, so you can go watch it.
Have the Blu-ray of that one. Yeah, it's good stuff. Melzy.
So I'm dressed tonight in theme of what I'm going to recommend. I finally watched Barbie a couple of weeks ago. Ruben was sick and our house had been flooded, so we spent the weekend at home, and and he was still asleep, and I was like, oh, I think it's on Netflix. And so I put it on. He'd already seen it before. So he went to the pictures with my mum to see it back in Bendigo. And so I was like, oh, while he's asleep, I'll put it on. And I was very, very it was a very proud moment when he woke up from his sickly slumber, and he was like, oh, Mum, you're watching Barbie. And I was like, oh yeah, I can turn it off. I can turn it off for you. He was like, no, keep it on. And he wanted me to keep it on. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a good mum.
He's Knuff. He's Knuff.
It's enough. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I thought there's like the scene at the start. It's like a I don't know, like a song, and she's like waking up and goes to the have a shower. And the song's sort of talking about what she's doing, and she gets in the shower and it's sort of all seeming normal, and then she's like enjoying the shower and there's no water coming out, and I'm just like, oh, like it was just in hysterics. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm in. I am in.
The comedy is very sharp.
The comedy is amazing. It's so, and like the world building, and it's and then the emotional side of it. Like I was bawling, which is no great surprise. Like I cry over a lot of things, but I was just like, I absolutely loved it. But yeah, the comedy was amazing, and I just thought
Helen Mirren as the narrator
wonderful.
Was fantastic.
Yeah,
really funny, and
all the Kens, like the Kens were like funny.
And that Ken moment when he sings Matchbox 20 is one of my favorite moments from cinema.
I had to explain that to Ruben. Like he was
year.
just like, what? And then when the Barbies all changed, and I had to explain what they were doing, and
I thought it was
it's really good.
Excellent.
Really, really,
I noticed
really
it's on a couple.
I absolutely loved it.
It's on a couple of streaming services
now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it was a very easy, because I'm like always a little bit, oh God, like a long movie. And I mean, it's only 2 and a bit hours, so it's not that long, but it was a very easy watch, and
now
very
anything over 90 minutes is too long.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it was an easy watch, and it was it had me, like I was like, I'm
cool. And I believe Margot Robbie's now producing a Monopoly movie. I think it was a Monopoly movie
or something. She's doing I think it might be Monopoly.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone laughed when they wanted to produce that Battleship movie, and that Battleship movie is actually pretty good.
The Peter Berg one.
Peter Berg one.
I'm
down for a Monopoly movie. If it's if they made a movie that's like high finance, buying houses and stuff, I'd be right in there. I love that business, as evidenced by watching Margin Call this week and referencing The Big Short.
There is
who talks about that film?
I think next month there is a new Frankston edition of Monopoly coming, which I believe they are releasing it down at Frankston, and it'll be interesting.
And instead of train stations, it's needle exchanges.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone is, because they've been doing towns around Australia throughout the last couple of years, and it's been selling its tits off apparently, and everyone's waiting to see what parts of Frankston are represented. So yeah, that's right. That brings us to the end of another show. Melzy, it's always fun having you here, particularly when you're in hot pink and all Barbied up.
I
know. And Ben, always a pleasure. Yep. That's away. We'll let you get back to your Jessica Fletcher. I'll get back to my Naughty's Home Video TikToks, and Melzy, you just do.
You know what I love on the internet, Glenn? Some people have put Jessica Fletcher's head onto sexy women's bodies.
Oh,
as a joke. But
is this
no joke?
Some people have, like.
That's almost as sexy as Tom Selleck waterfall sandwich.
That's right. Look, let's just say that AI has its uses that no one ever intended them for.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to leave you with a song from the Batman Forever soundtrack. Nick Cave doing There Is a Light. And we'll catch everyone next week. Same time.
Batman Forever, and it's not the Seal song?
Yeah.
I hate Seal so much.
Ruben's school, they play a song every morning, and I think every third morning it is that song.
That song. Jack Black is not going to listen to the show anymore after that Seal diss.
That is fine by me.
Mr. Hoppy, what you gonna do? I'm going downtown for some big choo-choo. I'm going downtown to Mr. Gigolo. Well, damn right I am, Daddy-O. Mr. High Roller, where you gotta go? Well, the real high rollers roll real low. Mr. Killer Man, what you gonna do? Me and Mr. Death are going downtown too. Ain't there one got beer and citizen about? They're all rolled up but they ain't coming out. What about the preacher to forgive us our sins? That the carrying crow with blood in his chin. Mr. Politician, can he lend a hand? He's too busy sucking up against this town. What about God and this Armageddon? He's all blissed out, man, up in heaven. Ain't there nowhere to run? Ain't there nowhere to go? Ain't there nowhere to run? Ain't there nowhere to run? Ain't there nowhere to go? Ain't there nowhere to run? Ain't there nowhere to go? Ain't there nowhere to run? Ain't there nowhere to go? I look to the sky, Daddy-O. There's a light, that shines over the city tonight. There is a light that shines over the city tonight. There's a light that shines over this city tonight. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. What are all the little kids gonna do, man? The little kids are all standing around. Oh, what are the kids gonna do, you know? They're looking to the sky, Daddy-O.
If you ever want to be in an Indian video, try this. You have to just simply do this. Change the light bulb, change the light bulb, change the light bulb. Okay.